Hi everyone, it's Peg, and it's time for this month's Pick a Stick Challenge. That's a Facebook group challenge that's offered once a month for the journal and once a month for an ATC card. And you'll see I'm working with some Diane Reevely paint that is kind of gotten crumbly, so I'm going to add some Floetrol to it to thin it out a little bit. And the first thing I want to tell you is I'm working in a little bit different journal this month. This is the Toned Tan journal from Strathmore. I've kind of been taken up with these darker color pages lately, and so I'm trying this rather transparent paint on this Toned Tan, and I'm not real happy with the results. I probably should have gessoed a patch in the middle if I wanted it to become bright, but live and learn, right? This is all in the process, but the first step in this month's challenge says add paint using the edge of a card to make lines. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm using a card and putting the paint down on the page, and now I'm spreading it a little bit thicker because, yeah, I want more color. So the card has kind of fallen to the wayside, and I've now grabbed a palette knife and I'm spreading some color. I'm going to go back to that yucky looking green and see if I can use any of that too, because I keep trying to save these paints. You can see this one I have been able to actually thin out enough to make it pliable and workable, and I'm happy with it. And I like this color, so that it makes me happy when I can save things and still use them. So the second step in here says add some lace, and I'm going to do it in kind of an unusual way. I'm not going to use the traditional lace, like if I just went to my stash and pulled some out. I could do that. I have that. And if you watched my ATC card, you'll see that what I used on that was a punched piece of lace, rather, so paper punching is allowed too. It just says add lace. Doesn't say what kind of lace, anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I've got some tissue paper here, and I've done a rough sketch, and now I'm using my Posca pen and going around and doing the outlines here. And I'm creating a little fairy. And my little fairy is going to have lace on her skirt. So yes, I created lace, and this will be going on my page. Now, the cool thing about Pick a Stick Challenge is you can interpret these challenge steps any way that you want to, and I have chosen to use this in a little different manner than what most people think of when they think of lace, and that's okay. There are no rules to this. It's wherever your imagination takes you, and that's part of the fun of it, is because this is just meant as a prompt. It's meant to help you get out of a rut and create, and that's what we're about. We really would like it if people were able to create each and every day, and that's kind of my goal anyway. So here I'm using my Posca pens. These are those metallic ones. I have them in a couple, turquoise and another blue metallic, and I'm painting her shawl, I guess, or cape, whatever you want to call it, and her costume in these pretty blues and white on the front of her skirt, where her petticoat kind of pops through. And yeah, then she's going to go on my page. Now, somewhere in here I forgot to turn on the camera and lost some video, because step 3 says draw big, and what I do is I end up drawing a pumpkin on the opposite page. I use white gesso behind my images to kind of help them, because I'm working on dark surface, and anytime you work on a dark surface, you're going to need to do that if you want the stuff to pop off your page. So I use some water on a brush and just tear my tissue paper and use a glue stick and glue down my little fairy, my little character, and starting to create my magic on my page. Now you will see the pumpkin eventually, but it's not in this particular piece of footage. And so what step 4 says is write a magic spell. So I'm going to use my Diane Reevely block and kind of use that to pencil in my spell wording, and then use my Posca pen again to create it. And what it says is bibbidi bobbidi boo. That is my magic spell. And then step 5 says rip the page, and I do that, but I guess I got those things out of order, because here's my pumpkin. Okay, so I guess I hadn't watched enough of my own video. So I did them backwards. I did my spell before I did my draw big. So there's my rip, my spell, and my draw big with my steps out of order. And then step 7 says date stamps. So I've got my date stamp out. I've been using it lately, and I'm just going to stamp on the page and create a little texture in the background with that. And then I take my scissors, cut around the pumpkin, and what you see me doing is getting ready for step 8, which says add pop-up or pop-out feature. So I'm going to fold the page on over, and I've got this piece of orange paper, and I'm thinking, oh, I need to create something that's going to be a pop-up or out. So you can see I've got my pen out and I'm drawing, and I have a little cut out or die cut piece, and what I'm drawing is the carriage. I'm figuring kind of Cinderella-like, and the old bibbidi bobbidi boo thing, and so I'm going to create a carriage out of this pumpkin looking paper, and see that my pumpkin turns into a carriage or coach, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I go through some stages here trying to figure out now how am I going to do this, and use some different die cut pieces to draw around, because yeah, I can't draw circles and ovals and things to save my life. So I'm just using these things for reference so that I can kind of get things where I want them. Anyway, I'm struggling trying to make a coach, because yeah, I don't know how to make a coach, but you know, we're trying. And I have an idea for the wheels that I thought would be kind of cool, so we'll see how it turns out. Of course, you know, all things cannot go correctly when I'm just playing like this, because I don't plan it out far enough in advance and know what I'm doing, and that usually leads to disaster, which, yeah, I have several of those. Okay, I did that on the wrong side. Alright, well, we'll just draw it again. Let it go with that. And I'm going to use some black archival ink, darken things up. Use my Stabilo once again to put in some shadow and depth into my little pumpkin coach, and do the window and the adornments, and then you will see what my idea is, because I'm going to glue this to that fold out page, which means you only want to glue half of it because the page has to still be able to flap. And can you see what I'm using for the wheels? I have these gears. They're like chipboard or something like that. Wooden. I think they're wooden gears. And I'm going to use those as the wheels for my coach. Now, I didn't think about it very well about where the wheels should be positioned as far as perspective. So yeah, my perspective is way off. But, you know, that's the way it goes. So the step number 9 says add an image with a homemade stamp. Well, this is a stamp I made last year for my ATC card, and it's a little Tim Holtz die that I cut out of foam and mounted, and then yeah, use it as a stamp. It's a little cat. So you need a little black cat there, right? Getting into that Halloween thing. And then this is another stamp I made with foam cut and glued onto a bigger piece of foam, and I'm just creating some background texture with this stamp. Trying to stamp around things here. And what else do we have to do? Oh yes, we have to add a verse from a song. And so what do I pick? Well, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, of course. So I put Alakazoola, Michikaboola. Yeah, you all know that one. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. And not in the right register because I am not a bass. Okay, so I also have this little stamp, which is a hand-carved stamp out of rubber with a little pumpkin on it. And I'm saying, okay, 10 steps, all complete, did it, and we're done. Bye for now. And we'll see you again next time on Pick a Stick Challenge. Be sure and click the like, thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. And click the little bell for notification if you'd like to know when I have new videos available. Thanks for watching.